I don't know what do you know about the Chinese monetary system, especially copper cash system, but it's quite different from the system of monetary system depending on precious metal, like European countries or Indian countries. And so basically, until the late 19th century, Chinese authority only issued this copper coinage, each weight 4 grams, and I don't know if you're surprised or not, the metallic contents, it weight 4 grams, 3.7 or 3.8 gram, and the fineness of copper almost 60% to 80%. This intrinsic contents do not change almost 2,000 years from before Christ, 2nd century to the very late 19th century. So very consistent. If you see, compare with the another system like the European, the small denomination currencies such as denarius, pence, after the fall of Roman Empire, they keep the denarius system, but the intrinsic value, the content, continue to decrease and quite different the content. If we compare these two systems, I always show this, and this is denarius, penny, the unearthed 9th century England. And this is not Chinese, actually Chinese copper cash, but unearthed in medieval Japan, 14th or 15th century. And basically, it's same. The medieval Europe, they depends on mono-unit currency system. They did not issue multiple denomination currency. They depend on basically mono-unit, denarius. While the East Asia, especially China, also depends on mono-unit currency, whose face value just 1 yen. Basically, no multiple currency exists, except for paper money sometimes exists. So, as far as the monetary system is concerned, quite similar. But in fact that, the value, each coin represents quite different. If we take the difference of value, silver and gold, silver and copper 100 times, that means it has a 25 or 30 times the expensive as this. And not anyway, China or a quarter of humans depends on 2,000 years, and the basic content never changed 2,000 years. And return to this. The consistency. And you never come, especially in collecting tax, basically until 13th century or 16th century, the taxation system depended on this copper cash. And all monetary units made in this term until 17th century, then the silver gradually replaced the copper coins. So the authority continued issues this copper coinage, and taxation always depended on this. But in spite of that, this is only coinage. In spite of that, this has 2,000 years, the history of issuance. But through 2,000 years, only 3 half century, before Christ 2nd century, and 11th century under Sung dynasty, and 18th century under Qing dynasty with Jianlong emperor. Only 3 half century, 150 years among 2,000 years, dynasty supply sufficient quantity of copper coins. So this is only legal coinage, and all taxes must be collected in terms of this, but only very limited period dynasty supply sufficiently. So what these people did for another 1,850 years. Oh, it's quite clear. The dynasty always by law prohibited people from minting by themselves by death penalty, but death penalty did not work for people to illegally make and supply as long as they had a demand. And why government could fail to supply, only just supply just 3.5 centuries? Well, quite simple. It's a logical consequence. As I said, they keep very high quality. They keep 2,000 years. Perhaps the price increase. In spite of that, they keep. And that suggests the cost of production as well as the cost of transportation is very high. In spite of that, they keep the standard 2,000 years. But government monopolized. One reason is, unlike precious metal like silver, for private traders, the develop the copper mine is not so good to the business because it costs large initiative capital investment. And return cannot be so handsome as silver. So it's not so good for any private trader. But government have to do because they depend on the tax system with this copper cash system. So after the end of Bronze Age, and the modern period, when cannon became popular, actually copper had no demand except for this demand for coinage or molding this Buddhist statue. But actually, of course, this is the religious item, but it's almost the open secret. This is religious item, but also it's a way of storing value. So if copper appreciates, people melt coinage into this and save value. And if coinage appreciates, they melt this return into copper coins. And this is the pattern of the East Asian. So actually, private suppliers locally complement the chronological shortage of the copper cash supplies. So this is the story. And so this system appear to have many different situations from the European monetary system. For example, from the viewpoint of European monetary history, when a seigniorage always dominate monetary policy. The monetary authority always try to get profit through seigniorage. They mint the currencies whose face value the higher the intrinsic value. That is the European common sense. But it's not the common sense here. Sometimes, as I said, sometimes the people melted copper cash into this. That suggests sometimes copper contents with the coinage is higher than the face value. And why? Because government, dynasty need to keep high quality in order unification of empire. In contrast, in the bottom of the market, the local trader need currency that suggests always increase local demand for currency. That's why they could make profit, the melting good coin into small coinage, because small coinage is sufficient to meet the demand for local market. While government must continue to keep good quality of mind. That is their way to unify empire. So, what will happen? the face value of official coinage, the lower than intrinsic value. This is quite the opposite to the common sense in European countries. So something happens. Good money drives out bad money. So this time, so far, I just repeat, I have studied, I published so far. All I can show new is just this. No, sorry, it's too early, I'm sorry. And this is typical, the case of excavation of Chinese copper cache. And the under southern Sun, 13th century. And I try to show one is with a larger amount, and another is smaller, relatively smaller amount. That suggests perhaps larger amount might have been saved intentionally for starting value or hold, while the relatively smaller the amount of excavation might have been just unintentionally, incidentally lost. I don't know, but perhaps we can assume like that. And in this case, almost more than 10,000, 2,000, 20,000 coin was found in this excavation. And latest year is the early 13th century. And we can find long covered, it covered very long the coinage, longer than 600 years. Of course, nobody guarantees this coinage was rarely coined before 8th century, but no doubt this hoard, excavation, accumulated coinage longer than 500 years, 600 years. And what is this long length? Is that so difference between larger amount or small amount? So whatever intentional or unintentional, the smaller hoard or large hoard, always amount of a certain amount of Chinese copper coins, like covered several centuries. This is quite a typical pattern of Chinese copper cache world. But quite contrast is this one. This is Norman conquest, 10,066, and a typical English hoard of penny. They just had this very short term, relatively large amount or small amount. It's same. Perhaps less than 20 years. I think this is the classical work by Grierson, but it's not just 11th century. 12th century or 13th century, the whole English hoard almost same pattern. They kept just at best 30 years. Some shorter than 10 years. So British penny system always make currency, if I may say, assemble soon after king called the coinage. That is why they keep very short term. Please keep in mind, this system, two systems, is share this modern unit system. This coin and this coin is smallest value coinage. In spite of that, as far as physical circulation is concerned, very big difference exists. 700 years exist in people's hand, while just 20 years in people's hand, the return to the royal mint. So I always Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you can speak in Japanese? Oh, 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 surprise! Oh, surprise!
ごめんなさい。そうそう。Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And I did many times this contest, but what I knew today, I show the intermediate case. This is very pure silver, 95%. And this is the typical bronze coin. And what I'm going to show is, and it depends on completely Alan Starr's work, the Torresero in single term. It was issued from Venetian Republic, but not circulated in Venice itself. They are minted for the purpose circulating in the colony, especially in Greece, Crete, or East Mediterranean region. And these parts are original, genuine Torresero, the minted in Venice, but not only this, not minted from Venice, but also Torresero minted other place also found. And this coin, in average, contain this 11% silver. Others almost copper. So very near to copper coinage, but contain some proportion of silver. So intermediary between Chinese copper cash and British penny. And no. So this is distribution. And this is the very large amount of hold I donated the American Numismatic Society. This is the incidental excavation from Acropolis. It's same again. Besides, in spite of difference of the size, the pattern is almost same. Very large hold and very small excavation, and they covered the longer than 100 years. The same. So it's quite similar to Chinese copper cash pattern. But if I may say just one difference is Chinese pattern, they cover several hundred years, while Torresero cover 100 years. But more than that, Chinese copper cash, this very old also occupies some proportion. So return this. And this is began the mid-14th century and end the mid-15th century. What happened the mid-14th century? It's exactly what I have studied. This is a period, the Eurasian-wide silver circulation suddenly stopped. And not only Mediterranean region, and the stop of circulation of silver caused many authorities to find another solution. And this is Venetian solution. They switched from silver coinage to almost the copper-occupied coinage. That's why suddenly, after 1350s, the minting of Torresero increased, and actually those coinage almost dominate transaction in Greece and Crete, etc. So, not so long as Chinese pattern, but far from British pattern. So what we can generalize from these three patterns of hold. simple. In this case, it's their value is, if I simplify it, it's a very expensive for daily transaction, and the insurance, or the number of insurance as limited. That is why the authority easier to control, and that is why, and the distance of their circulation from issuing point is not so far. And that is why, as soon as king want to recoin, the most of coinage return assemble to the mint and recoinage. So it is also monounit currency. Instead of that, this institutional system, the calls silver penny in England to return. So bilaterally, silver penny circulated between issuer, mint, and end user. If I simplify, of course, many penny lost. Meanwhile, Chinese cover cash, even government has no intention to assemble all the coins. So government always unidirectionally issue. Of course, they collect the in taxation, but no design to most of currency return to meeting point. Instead, the government always try to create a complementary monetary system, such as local circulation and copper cash for local circulation, while silk or silver for the interregional transaction or the transfer to the central government, etc. So this is the case of English case, and if I may simplify, many countries north to Alps almost same situation. Why? The unidirectional supply of small change, small currency means nobody can expect currency return to issuer unidirectional, but it did not mean the coinage always suffice local demand. Actually fail. In the case of the Chinese case, just 105 years among 2,000 years, government succeeded in supply. So what happened? Of course, local traders minted or melted official coins into smaller ones and make circulate to the local market. And this pattern, I think, almost applicable to many cases in the world, like this. This is past official supply from Venice, but it could not suffice the local demand in Greece and Crete. That is why other trade suffice with this. And I learned Constantine the work on Roman monetary system. The same region, Greece and Crete, had circulation of bronze coin not supplied by imperial mint, but supplied by local civic mint. It's the same pattern. So, without any particular institutional setting, small damage currencies always make unidirectional stream and never return. But never return do not mean government could succeed in supply sufficient quantity of currency. That's why it's also a company with local supply, even it's illegal. And this is not just the Eurasian, the case of Africa, for example. It's full of small denomination currencies, the Kori or bees. That's why after colonization in Kenya, the government supply large quantity of 1 cent coinage. It's not amount, in value. Majority of coinage by Korean government was 1 cent coin. And nobody can expect such a small coinage return to Nairobi. Of course not. So it's typically unidirectional. So local currency always supplied unidirectionally, but create supplementary means. But the problem is how to complement. This depends on society and government and period situation. It depends on society. Some society depends on the spot trade. In that case, they need more smaller denomination currencies. While some society depends on local credit. In that case, they could avoid the shortage of currency. While a society depends on a landowner or large merchant monopolize the transaction. In that case, the landowner could make transaction just in kind. They don't use currency at all. So it depends on society situation. But Chinese situation always peasant market activity in which small denomination currency always necessary. But small denomination currency fail to return to marketplace. That is why merchants often make this sort of complement. This is copper cash note. A trader, grocery market, sometimes shoemaker or restaurant issue this sort of note. They said we convert into hard currency, 100 coin, etc., but rarely convert, of course not. But what is? If take this grocery or our shoemaker, please take this note was issued by shoemaker. But if this available, accepted, only purchase customer of shoemaker, in that case, it's not currency. It's just a voucher between the shoe customers and the shop. But this is not the case. Even this is issued by a shoemaker, this sort of note accepted with other trader. But you cannot bring it outside of region. It's just a paper. So this no government guarantee, no interest compatibility at all. It's not that. As long as demand exists, people accept it. And this sort of local money almost dominate local market in early 20th century China. And recently, a book published 2012 by Chinese. I never met him. And full of such a local note, no guarantee. But why? He tried to cite, because this appeared to be very free coinage, free issuance of currency. That's why he cite Milton Friedman, Hayek, but cannot applicable. So he cited the third person, this person. Because this person's book in Japanese translated into Chinese 2007, and in which he insisted the currency's stagnation in directional the stream and local agreement to cause this sort of note acceptable, and he cited this theory. So anyway, the small denomination currencies appearance phenomena, especially in case of Chinese pattern, strongly suggest money neither depends on intrinsic value or authority. That is all.